Well, thanks, Vitek, and welcome to our talk, which is presenting some results of our ongoing research from Western Australia, or better, from the northwestern part of Western Australia. Well, why studying Paleo wave event deposits in the northwestern part of Western Australia? I guess you know it is one of the most cyclone-affected areas worldwide, and in this area there have been a number of historical tsunamis recorded as well. At the same time, there are only few existing studies on paleo event deposits in this area, from this area, available, and there is a quite short historical record only available for this area as well. So what we do and what we did and what we still do is investigating different types of sedimentary archives in the northwestern part of Western Australia, and trying to understand the potential, or to evaluate the potential of these different types of sedimentary archives. So we ask questions, for example, how can we date these archives, what methods should we use, and what is the chronological resolution and the time frames stored in these sedimentary archives. So the study area, as I said, is affected by up to 2 tropical cyclones per year on average, and there has been a number, as I said so before, there have been a number of tsunamis, historical tsunamis, reported in the area as well, with run-ups and or wave heights of up to several meters. Among these tsunamis are, for example, the Krakatoa Tsunami in 1883, or also the 1977 Sumba Tsunami. What we have to say that the effects, or the reported effects of these tsunamis in this area were relatively low compared to other areas worldwide. So this is our main study area here, the area between Onslow and the Northwest Cape. And as I said, we investigate different types of sedimentary archives here, for example, in the Ashburton River Delta, or in the Exmouth Gulf itself, and along the Engel Reef in the north, or along the Northwest Cape. And in this talk, I'd like to present some results from the Ashburton River Delta. So looking at the cyclone activity in the area of Onslow, we see that we had more than 15 tropical cyclones with a significant impact at Onslow during the last 130 years. However, only 4, you can see those marked here in color, only 4 of these tropical cyclones had a significant storm surge at Onslow, produced significant storm surge at Onslow. In the 20th century, and this is mainly due to the fact that the maximum storm surge is left of the tropical cyclone track in the southern hemisphere, or to the travel direction, due to the clockwise rotation of the cyclone system. So all of these tropical cyclones with storm surge flooding at Onslow were cyclones with western tracks. And there was one further significant flooding due to storm surge due to a tropical cyclone in 1897 with an unknown track. So the question, or one question, was, can we see this very local pattern of storm surge flooding, or flooding due to storm surge? Can we see this pattern in our sediment archive? And this is the sediment archive here. It is located in the delta of the Ashburton River. As you can imagine, the estuary of the Ashburton River is an area with generally high morphodynamics. We have older river channels, tidal flats, spit systems, mangrove areas, shifting depositional environments. We have older Fordian-rich systems, which probably are related to older river mouth locations. And we have also washover fans or sediments in back barrier situations. And this is one of these situations here. We have the Fordium barrier, we have breaching channels dissecting the barrier, and we have the washover sedimentation in the back barrier area. Here you can see the coring transect, and you can see the clear thinning landward pattern of the washover sediments. Well, and what I want to present in this talk is the master core here, master core and trench on S4. And this is the trench you can see in the lower left. And you can see on the first view that, on the first look, that it is comprised of several depositional units. And what you can also see is here, for example, at 30 centimeters below surface, there is this undulating boundary which is related to that unstratified red loamy sand. Well, to sum these findings up, we have 5 depositional units in this sedimentary sequence. We have erosive boundaries between all of these depositional units. We have undulating boundaries here, for example, at 30 centimeters in the upper parts of units 3, 4, and 5. And we interpret these features with turbation horizons. We have 3 very well laminated units with planar bedding, with heavy mineral laminae, and this, well, yeah, this is true for units 1, 3, and 4. We have, moreover, 2 units with a more massive appearance, with massive sand, with channel structures here, with incision into the underlying units, with fewer heavy minerals, and these are depositional units 2 and 5. And especially depositional unit 2 has quite different sedimentological characteristics. It consists of light brown sand, it has a higher abundance of microfauna, and it also contains coarser, or a lot more coarser components compared to the other units. Well, the sedimentological difference is also expressed here in the PCA we did for the samples of the trench or of the core. And you can see that depositional unit 2 is quite well separated from the other depositional units of the trench. So looking at the chronology we have 6 OSL samples, 1 from each depositional unit. All of those samples we have single grain ages, then we have 2 radiocarbon datings of larger mollusks found in the lower part of the sequence. And what we can see is, the first we can see is we have no age inversions, and the OSL ages are in stratigraphical order, which is of course good. The second thing is what we can see, that the entire sequence covers only 150 years. So we expect historical events stored in this washover sequence. And the third thing we see is that the radiocarbon ages here, there is a big discrepancy between the OSL ages and the radiocarbon ages. So we think we cannot really use a radiocarbon of mollusks here in these environments. Having a closer look here on the OSL results, we also see that the massive sand units, 2 and 5, they seem to have a multi or bimodal DE distribution of our OSL samples, which is in contrast to the unimodal distribution of those very well laminated units with planar lamination. So coming to the interpretation, in the form of this simple age depth plot here at the base of the slide, and those laminated sedimentary units or depositional units are those black bars here. Those massive sand units here are marked in red. And this age depth plot is plotted against the historical accounts or historical events which are known for the area. So looking at the lower part of the profile, we see that those laminated units seem to quite well match candidate events of tropical cyclones. For example, depositional unit 1 here matches quite well a tropical cyclone in Exmouth Gulf in December 1875. And this one, of course, in relation to our sediment archive, had a western track. Depositional unit 3 matches quite well the tropical cyclone in December 1897. And also this tropical cyclone, as I showed you before, made storm surge at Onslow. Well, interestingly, the massive sand unit here in between those 2 sand sheets exactly dates the Krakatoa tsunami in 1883. And we remember this sedimentary unit had a quite different sedimentology. So we think that we have, in the lower part of this profile, we have 2 tropical cyclones stored and 1 tsunami, which is probably the Krakatoa tsunami in 1883. However, we shouldn't forget that the depositional units, or the ages of these units, show overlapping age ranges. So one could also argue that we have one event with different subunits. However, we think, based on the sedimentology, on the distinct differences between these units, and on the consistent OSL results, which get younger with decreasing depth, we think that we have 3 successive events. Looking at the upper part of the profile, we see that there are time gaps between those the following depositional units, between units 3 and 4, between 4 and 5, and at the present surface after deposition of unit 5. And these time gaps relate to the turbaceous structures I was talking about before. However, we still have 2 events which deposited sediments in our archive. The laminated unit here matches our tropical cyclone in March 1934, and as you remember, this also had a western track in relation to our sediment archive and had a storm surge impact at Onslow. Well, finally, there was only one unit left, or there is only one unit left, and this is again a massive sand sheet here, and this matches the tsunami again, and we think it may be the Sumba tsunami in 1977, which deposited depositional unit 5. So altogether, what we see in the upper part of the profile is that we have a lower susceptibility to washover events, or it seems that we have a lower susceptibility to washover events in the 20th century. So what could produce the lower susceptibility of these washover events? So looking at the main course of the Ashburton River and its river mouth, we see on older maps here that the main channel of the Ashburton River was located more to the east in the end of the 19th century. And at that time we had that high susceptibility and higher sedimentation rates in our sediment archive. Well, at some point in the beginning of the 20th century, the main channel of the Ashburton River shifted to its present position here, and this involved the evolution of the youngest ridge sequence to the east and to the west of the estuary. And this involved also barrier progradation with new foredune ridges in front of our archive. And we think that this might be the reason for the susceptibility changes in our sediment archive. So I think we have a quite short-lived sediment archive here with a high resolution, actually. So yeah, coming to the summary and the conclusions, we have different types of sediment archives in different coastal ecological sedimentary environments. I showed you the locations in one of the first slides, which are actually indicated by very different timescales and chronological resolutions. In our sediment archive I presented here, we had 5 distinct depositional units found in our washover sediment archive at ONS 4. And we think that this archive records 5 extreme wave events overwatching or breaching the barrier. We found out that OSL was really successful applied for this archive, and definitely OSL in these environments is more suitable than radiocarbon datings. And well, we think that we have both footprints of tropical cyclones and tsunamis in our sediment archive. I said that before. And we think that we only have tropical cyclones with western tracks stored in our sediment archive. So, and the last thing is, I showed you in the last slides, we think that the susceptibility of our sediment archive is closely linked to the evolution of the Ashburton River Delta, which is not surprising. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. If there is a very short question.
Yep.
I mean, and it also arrived near low
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
It could easily be related to maybe Java or some other event like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I had the question mark behind that. I'd love to talk about that with you, actually, later. But yeah, I'm not really sure, but you know, the OSL ages seem to really be very precise, and well, that's our interpretation.
Thank you very much.